imagine being Capablanca. No, okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, we're done with Capablanca. Well, for now, but welcome to a Dutch Grandmaster. His name is Max Euwe, and he's gonna be playing against Alekhine tonight. Well, I guess not really tonight, but you get the point. And after the horrendous match with Bogoljubov, Alekhine decided to pick another safe option, when playing Euwe. And actually, Bogoljubov beat Euwe in 2 matches, so technically you would think that Alekhine would just smash Euwe. But he did put up a fight, and the record before the match was 7-7, so people still expected Alekhine to win. But Euwe did put up a really tough fight, and in Capablanca, we have to feature his comments. He said that Alekhine's game is 20% bluff, and Euwe himself realized that Alekhine is really strong in his preparations, so if he could out-prepare Alekhine, he would have a chance at the title. And obviously Capablanca with a little bit of jabbing here against Alekhine. So without further ado, a really nice photo here under the mini title, and we have the game number 1. Alekhine has the white pieces and Euwe has the black pieces. So we have d4, d5, and a really known opening, the semi-Slav, and or actually the Slav, and this now transitions into a Czech variation. And now this move right here, knight to e5, has been played a lot of times, and it's definitely a really standard move. You're trying to win back this pawn, and just a really good move. So knight b to d7 here, by far the most popular option, and here g3, e5, and d takes on e5, knight e5, and finally bishop f4. And this is gonna be basically the theme of the match. Now this has been played thousands of times, well, not thousands, but really close to 2,000 of times. And why is black fine here? Black is fine because he has this knight after d7, but why did white play this variation? Because of the nagging pressure right here on the knight, and you cannot easily untangle as black. Also, there are a lot of threats in the position, so simply bishop g2, getting this Catalan bishop, as it's called right here, ready, and just bishop e6 by black. Now you simply have a trade and you still have this pressure, but now you have to worry about something extra as black, and you're gonna see this put in play by Alekhine immediately. So bishop e7 and now queen to c2, and we have rook to d8 by Euwe, which is fine. Now rook to d1, castles. And now we finally see that move that I was talking about, knight to b5. The knight cannot be taken as the pawn is pinned to the queen, so you have to move the queen. But first Euwe decides to trade rooks, and now you have to move the queen. He goes to a5, and here Alekhine just comes back with the knight, puts pressure on this bishop, kicks back the bishop, and here plays a really nice move. He plays b4, and I just think this is really nice because if you take the pawn, well, you see this queen is defending the knight, and you can play now a really nice move here, knight back to b3. And if you want to keep defending knight, you have to go here, and now queen e4, double attack on the knight. Bishop d6, you defend your knight, but now queen d4 attacking your bishop, and there's only one saving move here. Still black is lost, but you can try g5, and if you go back with the bishop, then yes, black did survive. But if you take the pawn, now f6, but now just bishop f4 or bishop h6, doesn't matter. White is just better here. The material is equal, but come on, the pressure on black is just too much. For example, bishop e6 trying to attack, and now you just come back with the knight to maybe come in here. So you have, again, just an arsenal of options. So b4, that's why Euwe decided not to take, but now he gets hit with b5, c5, and now just simply knight into f5. And you obviously you don't want to trade for the same reasons mentioned previously. Euwe tries f6, but now the knight comes back to e3, and even though the bishop manages to guard this square, it's simply, you know, worthless, because the bishop comes here anyways. You take with the rook, and now, well, you just go knight f5, you attack the bishop. A desperate check here by Euwe, but it leads to nothing, and he quickly resigns. Also, a really nice move here by Alekhine, knight h6 check. You cannot take the knight, you're getting mated. And king h8, and the queen takes on c5, and that's it. Euwe resigns. There's really no point in playing this. The rook is under attack, and you're just gonna get hit with knight to f7, and that's it. And yeah, well, Alekhine really started out with a banger here, but this game, the next game was won by Euwe, and then Alekhine managed to strike back in the next game, and that brings us to game number 4. So can Euwe keep things under control? That's the question. So c4, g6, and we have a Grunfeld here, and now Alekhine did lose a game in a Grunfeld, in a Russian interrogation against Euwe just 2 games prior, so he's gonna switch it up. He's gonna play now bishop g7 and this c6 move, and rook d1 and queen to a5. Now Alekhine going a little bit aggressive here. Bishop comes back to d2, but now b5, queen goes back, and now b4, knight is forced to a4, and now knight to a6. So we all know knights on the rim are dim, but you know, these top grandmasters, world champion caliber players are playing like that. Well, that's because Alekhine wants to reroute his knight, and he will do so in just a moment. b3, rook a to b8, after he defends everything quite nicely, and now he's ready to go for it. Rook f to c8, and I talked about the reroute, but he's not gonna reroute at all. This knight here is here to support c5, and this knight is here to stop c5 from happening. So Euwe, in fact, he actually has quite a nice position. And here after c5, he chops here, gets the pawn, and now, well, he can enter a better middle game if he plays the move e4. And you know, this move just offers him a little bit of space, and black cannot easily maneuver around. So if you try knight d7, putting pressure on the knight, for example, bishop to e3, you make room for the bishop, and now this is guarded. And yeah, well, a5, a4, the game still continues, of course, but white is much more stable. But the way that Euwe did it, knight f4, this is not sufficient. Bishop g4, now attacking the rook, f3, and now Alekhine hits him with e5. You cannot afford to take this bishop, definitely, but Alekhine decides to sacrifice the bishop here. He takes the pawn on d4, Euwe takes the bishop, and now, well, Alekhine just gave up basically a piece for a pawn. But Euwe still had well, some chance here, maybe if he would have taken this pawn right here. The variation is crazy, and there's no need to go into that, as white is still basically lost at this level. But you know, this is just a really nice show that you know, Alekhine put up. He wins now material, and even though he loses the rook, he's gonna win the queen. And in the end, after a little bit of conversion, I mean, black just has a totally dominating position and manages to win the rook, and white resigns, and that's it. Alekhine managed to be up 3 games by game number 9. But Euwe did mount a comeback. And by game number 24, yes, we're skipping that far ahead, the score is tied 12-12. And I have to mention that, you know, the match is played first to 30 and also to 6 wins. So right now, the players, well, they have to win a game and draw the rest to win the whole match. And that brings us to game number 25. Now I won't tell you the colors of the players, so I'm gonna refer to them as white and black. I'm gonna keep you guessing a little bit, and this is a crucial turning point in the match. Now white opens up with d4, and we have another Slav defense, and we have a semi-Slav, in fact, and we have black playing this really solid and annoying setup. I actually hate facing this as white. E3, queen a5, cd5, knight d5, and we just have something really clean looking, queen d2, and here the most popular move by far is bishop b4, but what happened in the game is knight to b6. Basically black tried to get a little bit more active, bishop d3, and now knight takes on c3, bishop takes on c3, and now knight to d5, basically putting a lot of pressure on this pawn, so you have to defend it with the rook, but you take it anyways. Why is this possible? Because basically you cannot take back as bishop b4 comes, and now, well, now I mean, yeah, you're just gonna lose material, so there's no point playing this. So yeah, castles right away, and now the knight is under attack. We have to defend. a3, of course, you know, putting pressure on everything, and rook to a1 attacking the queen, and now finally bishop c2 attacking the queen, and e4 attacking the queen. But you have to be careful here. Black is actually also getting a piece, and if you look at the position, you count the material. White, after the opening phase, is down 3 pawns, and yes, there is some you know, counterplay options, but still you have to, you know, you have to be really sure that you have enough counterplay if you play a position like this. 95, and now black finds quite a nice move here, a5. This is a pretty crucial move. Like, if you try to kick the knight right away with f6, knight c4 happens, and now you can play a5, for example, to try to deflect this knight from going to d6. But if you try to play something like c5 to, let's say, try to go castle, well, now you're gonna be in a little bit of a trouble. h4, knight f7, and okay, c6. Okay, and if you try to take this pawn, well, white now detonates something really ugly. Bishop takes on h7, king takes on h7, and now queen takes on f8. Just a beautiful geometry here displayed. So you have to be really careful here as black. But black, in fact, finds this nice move a5. And queen a3 is forced to not trade queens and get into a worse endgame. And now black still has to be really careful. White sets a huge trap here. Do not take this pawn. You first defend your knight, obviously, and then if something like, well, first of all, you cannot castle. I want to say if something like castles happened, but you cannot castle. I forgot. But if something like, you know, f6 is played, now you have a really nice variation here. Bishop g6 check, h takes g6, knight takes g6, and now, well, you're threatening checkmate, first of all, and you have to stop that. And now knight takes on h8, and basically black has a bishop and 3 pawns for the rook, but this is holdable with best play. I'm not sure if white would have managed that. But okay, queen a3, and black doesn't fall for anything, just plays f6. And now white makes a huge blunder. He tries the same variation, but it doesn't work, as now black has something even more disgusting than bishop takes on h7 in that variation. That was not really disgusting, that was just beautiful geometry. Black here in this position has the following move: knight f3 check. And yeah, once you take here, we have this trade, and now black simply saves the rook. You see, when bishop to g6 was played, white sacrificed a piece, so black can do the same, and then, you know, simply get the rook out of the corner safe. And black is now up 2 points of material in a completely winning position. Now he wins another pawn and manages to, you know, trade into a winning endgame. And I'm now gonna reveal the colors. Well, with black, you might not have guessed it, but it's actually none other than Max Euwe. And he's gonna take this crucial game. And now this brings us to, well, another crucial game. Euwe has the white pieces, Alekhine has the black pieces. Game number 26. And this is really make or break for Alekhine. He has to hurry up. He only has 5 more games to be able to, win a game and then come back. So he's gotta hurry a little bit. That's why he plays a Dutch, actually a Nimzo Dutch variation here. But the names are not important. The position is important. And here, really, Euwe had a huge chance here. Alekhine played b6, which is really horrible. And, that's why maybe Capablanca said that Alekhine's game is 20% bluff. Because here, if Euwe came prepared, he would have just been able to play knight takes e4, f takes e4, and knight e5. And that's it. You try to defend your d-pawn. Well, bad news, I attack it one more time. You try to play d5. Well, even worse news, bishop h3 check. I'm attacking this now. And, well, the only reasonable way to defend it is bishop to c8. And now f3, just chip away at this structure. If we trade everything, white is just in a much better position here. Much better position. Like, I don't even know what counterplay you can try, like c5, maybe rook e1, but you don't even care about this. C takes on d5, and you don't even care about this. If this happens now, just the bishop is lost, the queen is opened. So really, yeah, horrible position by black, I'm surprised Euwe did not play this. Euwe played here queen c2, and now Alekhine has a little bit of a chance. Euwe goes in knight e5, knight takes on c3, bishop is on c3, and actually there's a little bit of a fight going on in this game. Now I'm sure many modern players would play this c5 as it's usually played here, to try to open up the position, but Alekhine played in that time queen to c8. Now maybe looking for maybe a check, maybe even c5, maybe even d6, and that's what happens in the game. d6, and now the knight is forced back. But this knight is gonna be on a long journey, just like an entrepreneur. But black is completely fine in this position. Why? Because black achieved what he always wanted in this kind of duchess. You want the close center, and you want to be able to attack on the king side. And king h1, Euwe goes back trying to prevent that, and c6. So Alekhine breaks away a little bit. Queen b3 now defending this pawn, and the king goes out of this diagonal to not allow any stupid ideas like takes, and then maybe something like this to happen, right? With a check, and then you never know. So the king just slides out of the diagonal, and now f4 by Euwe, pretty critical. Now watch this knight. The knight goes here, gets booted back, and now the knight is gonna finally find the right business idea, and the knight did find the business idea. Now he's gonna build that company. And even though things are crumbling around him, he's gonna be, pushing a completely new idea, radical, and you would think it's impossible, but he does it. What am I trying to say? Well, I mean, it would be nice for white to take this pawn. But then, okay, black takes the bishop, and then when you take back, you lose the knight, right? Easy calculation, you cannot play that. But that's exactly what Euwe plays. Because after this bishop takes, you don't have to take the bishop back right away. You can play this intermediate move, intermediate, I think that's the right, or intermezzo, that's the right name. Queen to b8 now attacking the knight, and here is something really important. If you just take the bishop here, now you're completely lost. You're simply down 2 pawns for a piece. But what Euwe calculated, he calculated knight takes e4, and now he has 3 pawns for the piece. But these pawns are really strong pawns, and the knight now sells his business, basically just sells his business, gets his money, and retires until he finds a better idea. g5, and now e4, and the pawns are gonna just start rolling. We have f4, g takes on f4, g takes on f4, and now bishop d4. So the bishop is planted really nice, but now e5, and now queen e8, and now e6. The bishop might be planted really nice, but these pawns are also really strong. So after the rook moves now, you have to be careful here, and you don't want to take this pawn here. Queen to e2, and you have some problems here. You definitely have some problems here. You have to play queen f3, queen takes d2, and you're gonna lose this. Spoiler alert, as white. So instead of that, we have knight f3, and now the knight begins his new business idea, his new business plan: queen g6 and rook g1. So we have this sacrifice. The knight is now financing another company here that came to oppose this incoming threat. Queen to f6, and now knight to g5 finally. And this pawn looks free, but it's not. You're just getting mated, you're getting destroyed. This knight f7 move. Now the knight finally sacrifices himself, but he does that for the prosperity of the rest of his folks. Really, the knight is really strong. That's what I'm trying to say. Rook g7 tries to defend this, but now simply takes on d7, and all of a sudden the material is equal. So who's better here? Well, that would have to be white, because even though you get attacked, here you're gonna find Euwe finds a really nice solution to all of his problems: queen to e7. And after this trade, we have the following endgame. Now, what do you play here as black? Well, you're gonna as white. Sorry, you're gonna defend your pawn. Now, black's mission is really complicated. So first of all, you don't want to allow this knight to move, because the only thing that you have in this position is the fact that white cannot play d6 without losing the knight. And so you don't want to allow the knight to go to g5. So that means you don't want to move your rook here. But you also don't want to allow the knight to go to d8, because that's also a nice reroute for the knight. So let's say you try to stop that. You try to play rook to e8. Now, for example, white can play something like king to g2, stopping the rook from infiltrating. Now you can give a nice check, and the king would have to go back. And let's say white tries to find another plan. Let's say white plays b3, just being solid. Now, if rook f2, now you allow knight g5, and you can take a pawn, but that's a little bit, too much. First of all, connect 4, and second of all, this is just too much for white. But Alekhine was unable to find any of that. By the way, the best continuation here for black is to sacrifice the rook immediately, and then try to win this pawn. While admitting to being in a worse endgame here, like rook takes this, rook d8 check, something like this. You try to go here, and this would be a draw, because black's king is way too active, and it might be a draw, it may not be a draw. It depends on the players, but maybe Alekhine could have had much more drawing chances here. But he played h6 now, trying to stop knight g5, maybe trying to play rook to f2, but this loses to this other idea. Now you find a way to reroute your knight, and that's it. I mean, that's just it. Now the knight finally finds a beautiful configuration, gets back, and now here Alekhine, you can just take the rook right away, but Euwe decides to leave the final move to the entrepreneur knight that finally managed to retire and is now on a really nice island somewhere in the Pacific. And that's really the conclusion of the match. And Euwe managed to beat Alekhine, just one game difference, but that game won him the match, and he mounted a really nice comeback. And we're gonna see the rematch, because the rematch is definitely coming. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Kowalsky.